background of pharmacy. So one of my earliest memories was my grandfather, and he was a pharmacist. And I remember, visiting the pharmacy, and it was always a great place, I think, particularly as a little girl, because there's lots of makeup and lots of nice things. He also had a great supply of lollipops, and yes, it was always really exciting. And I suppose I always felt it was very magical as well, because back then there was a lot of compounding and extemporaneous preparation would go on, and he would be often making up ointments and creams and lotions and potions and liquids. And I was always enthralled, I suppose, by that. And then I suppose as I got older and my grandfather sadly passed away, my dad took over the running of the pharmacy, and so really I became very much a part of that whole pharmacy. So from when I was able to work, I was there, so pharmacy has always been very much a part of our lives. It's what we talked about at the kitchen table. It's, what I used to do on my summer holidays, everything from whether it was, starting kind of little deliveries of, bits and pieces to the local customers, to learning how to use the till, to progressing on into the dispensary, and, seeing the different aspects of pharmacy. So I suppose there was never anything else really that I wanted to do. I did toy with the idea of medicine, but then I went to the College of Surgeons open day when I was in 6th year after Christmas, and I loved it. I loved the vibe. I loved the feel of it. I come from a very small town in County Limerick, came from a very small secondary school, and to go to the College of Surgeons, it didn't feel to me like a huge step. And I think as well, because you're very much surrounded by history there. You walk down the corridors, you can see, the history that went before you, the surgeons, the doctors, the medics. And then you see that then melded with the new medicine and the new pharmacy and the new physiotherapy and, cutting edge technology. That really, I suppose, spoke to me. And after leaving there and after I remember I did a tour with one of the porters, and I remember leaving there, having done the tour and learning about the history of it, thinking this is exactly where I want to be. And so that's how I suppose my journey with the College of Surgeons started. I have a real love of the old style pharmacy, and I was talking recently to a friend of mine, and actually I think we're on an Instagram live because I do these kind of things, and we were talking about how we can't forget where we came from, and we can't, because without the people that went before us and without the pharmacy that went before us, we couldn't be who we are. People will come to you and, it's kids with grave fees, or, it's sore throat, or, it's what do you think I should do? And to me, that's what pharmacy is about. It's about engaging with your patient, engaging with your service user, and, being very much part of that kind of community and people coming to you. And I think that is the huge advantage we have in community pharmacy. And then I suppose when I came to the College of Surgeons, I only saw one path for myself, which was community pharmacy, because that was all that I ever knew. So Dr. Judith Strawbridge was a huge inspiration to me. It was just so amazing to me that someone who, as far as I was concerned, was so respected as Dr. Judith Strawbridge, that she actually was kind of invested in my journey and was encouraging me. And I gain a lot of positive energy from being part of the pharmacy profession and of being, part of the kind of greater kind of progression of the profession. So this job came up here in the HSE, and I kind of remember the day before the interview, kind of taking a bit of a breath and going, oh my God, am I up for this? Like, am I even up for the interview? But yeah, I must have been, because here I am, 3.5 years, nearly 4 years later, and I love it. And I suppose with COVID-19 and even before COVID-19, the role has very much evolved. From a lot of my work would have been around kind of contracts and supporting and liaising with contractors around their contract, to now very much being an integral part of what's going on around COVID-19, whether that be in community pharmacy or whether it be, within the local community healthcare organisation here. And I suppose in a lot of ways, I kind of insert myself into things, and that's, I suppose, where people then see the benefit of having a pharmacist, because they mightn't invite you, but if you kind of insert yourself or kind of just kind of gradually kind of push yourself in, that then is where people really see the benefit. I suppose I'm very much now here. I feel I'm much closer to, I suppose, the outcomes and the positive outcomes for patients, because a lot of the decisions that I would make every day have huge impacts on the patient. But I sit up at that table, and I'm surrounded by these really revered and respected and esteemed people. And sometimes at times I kind of have to go, is there a bit of an imposter syndrome here? But then a lot of what I try to do, Ian, is I'm trying to break down walls and I'm trying to break down barriers. And in the College of Surgeons, we were so lucky to have such amazing lecturers. I think it was because of people like Juliet and Tamzine, in a very small way, kind of broke down those barriers and made a lot of maybe what my aspirations and my dreams that I never thought could be possible, attainable. We always knew that was attainable, and we always knew that we would be, that was something that, it wasn't, beyond reach. And I want to do that for the rest of the profession, because sometimes I think that people look at maybe, I was so lucky that I had support. Like, I have an amazing family and a network, and I've always worked with managers who are really supportive. But it is a very scary landscape, when you're kind of put out there as, the pharmacist in charge. I think a lot of us as pharmacists were real high achievers, and we're real perfectionists, because what would you say? Every prescription has to be perfect. It's someone who's person-centered, so someone who can communicate with people, someone who can empathize with people, and someone who very much, understands a person's journey. And I think that's what makes a good pharmacist. Like, you can teach people all the bookwork in the world. You can teach them all the pharmacology, all the biochemistry, all the pharmaceutics in the world. You can learn that. But if you don't have those qualities of communication, empathy, and person-centeredness, you won't be successful as a pharmacist. And, I look around now, and, I have 166 pharmacies in my area, and, I work with amazing pharmacists. And that's what a good pharmacist is to me. Those particular skills. If you're a good communicator, if you're empathetic and you're person-centered, you'll fly in any pharmacy environment. And I suppose hard work, determination is also really important. Again, I think as well, it's about people realizing what pharmacists do, and the wider, I suppose, industry, and that we're all represented, and that our voices are all heard. And I very much talk as well about pharmacists being healthier and happier, and the profession being healthier and happier. And, I like to see there being more support, particularly for our younger pharmacists, who might find themselves, in difficulty, that may need some help or assistance. I suppose at the moment, a lot of us are, just living day to day in COVID, and when COVID is gone, that we'll all take a breath and we'll reflect back, on, I suppose, the learnings and the achievements, and sometimes the failures, because you can't learn without maybe acknowledging that, some things maybe weren't done as well as we could have done them, and move on from this, and I think become a more progressive profession, and sometimes maybe pat ourselves on the back and acknowledge ourselves. But we are amazing, and we give amazing pharmaceutical care to our patients, and I'm just so proud to be part of that profession, and I'm so proud to be part of, I suppose, the history of the College of Surgeons. And there are no words to express how grateful I am to the College of Surgeons for giving me this amazing award, but for also giving me such a start in my career. So thank you so much.